Hey, what's up? My name is Daniela, welcome back to my channel. It's freaking hot today, so I hope you won't hear much sound from outside, but anyway, today I want to talk about my 5 recent reads, and I'm really behind with this series because I read some of the books I'm going to talk about in May, so let's hope I can remember something about them. But yeah, let's get into it. So the first book I'm going to talk about is Everything Everything by Nicola Yoon. When I read Because You Love to Hate Me, which is an anthology of short stories about villains, the one by Nicola Yoon was my favorite, so naturally I wanted to read her other works. And this is young adult contemporary about a girl named Madeline, and she has a CID, which basically means she has to live in a sterile environment and she cannot go outside because the allergens and stuff could harm her body and she could eventually die. And the only people she's in touch with are her mother and her nurse. But one day a cute boy named Ollie moves across from her and she can see his room, and well, they start chatting online, and his father is abusive and things get pretty messy. But it's really hard to talk about this book without giving anything away because there's a pretty big plot twist. So I really enjoyed reading this book. It was really cute, it was sweet, the romance was like insta, but I don't care about that because like it has happened to me, especially online, so yeah, it is relatable. And the characters were likable. There were like different formats included, like drawings and tables and charts and stuff like that, which was fun. So at first I gave this book 5 stars, but then I really thought about what people were saying about this book. So basically a lot of people are upset by this book because the disability rap or the rap about the disease is really crappy, because basically it sends a message that such diseases can be only in your head, which is not cool. So if you are looking for books about like immune disease and stuff like that, this probably isn't the one for you. I really don't want to give anything away, but let's just say that there was a very specific kind of child abuse and I really wasn't ready for it, and it really hit me hard and I couldn't get over it. It was just like horrible and like disguised as love basically, and it wasn't properly addressed. Like there were also some mental health issues with some characters and this was never addressed. So yeah, there are quite a lot of issues with this book that could have been addressed better or like at all. So yeah, I have lowered my rating of this book to 4 stars because yeah, it was really enjoyable for me, but there are certainly some issues and yeah, I want to acknowledge them. The next book I want to talk about is Britt Mary Was Here by Frederick Beckman. So this is about an older woman called Britt Mary. She has just left her husband who had been cheating on her and she is trying to find a job. And she ends up in this very small community called Borg. It is a very small town where the financial crisis has really hit hard, so everybody is moving out and there are no jobs, like shops are closing down and stuff like that, so there isn't much happening. But she ends up working in a community center, and by the way, the job is offered by mistake, so there isn't that much to do. And she just meets the local people and she finds out about their life, and there is a group of kids who like have nothing to do in the town, so they play football and they want to compete in this game and they need a coach. So Britt Mary ends up being their coach. So this book is really slow paced and there isn't that much happening because hello, it's set in a small town, so yeah, it's real. Yeah, I grew up in a small town, so I tend to enjoy stories about small towns because yeah, they are just hilarious if you don't have to live it. So it's heavily character focused on Britt Mary, and she kind of reminded me of Eleanor Oliphant from Eleanor Oliphant is Completely Fine, which is one of my favorite books of this year and probably of all time. So yeah, she has like trouble in social situations and she's awkward and she can appear to be really insensitive and like she has no empathy, which can be true in some situations, but the truth is that in her core she is a kind person, but there's like a lot of shit that she had been through, and in the small town she is finding herself again because her whole life she has been like something. She had to take care of her family at first, and then she got married, and she like her job is to be a wife, and her husband is a total jerk, by the way, so she's like very submissive in the marriage. So at first she can be an unlikable character, but once I got to know her, like I started to like her much more, and she was funny and quirky, and yeah. So it's a slow-paced, heartwarming and touching book about one community. I haven't read any other books by this author, but yeah, this one was pretty good and I gave it 4 stars. The next book I read was A Coat of Wings and written by Sarah J. Maas, and if you know me, you know that I'm trash for this series. This is book 3, so not much to be told about the plot. I knew that this couldn't be better than A Court of Mist and Fury, which is book 2, because that was phenomenal, but this volume was still pretty amazing. There was a lot of action, the final part was epic, I cried, so yeah, 5 stars. Next up is Paris Ever After by K.S.R. Burns, and this is a book about Amy. She's in her 20s, I think, and she's pregnant. And she's in Paris, although her hometown and her husband is in Arizona. This is the second book in a series, and I haven't read the first one, which I usually don't do, but like it was told that it doesn't really matter, and there is a short recap at the beginning of the book, so like you are told what has happened, which was good. And I got this from NetGalley, by the way. Yeah, so Amy, her friend died, and she went to Paris to like clear her head, and she didn't tell her husband, and her husband, who is a total prick, got really mad at her, and then she found out that she is pregnant, and now she's living in Paris with this old lady whose daughter has disappeared, but now she came back, so they are like kicking Amy out, and it's like, yeah, it's a mess. Yeah, and then William, Amy's husband, comes back to Paris, so she thinks that maybe he wants to get together again. So this was a quick and relatively fun read, but my main issue was with the characters. Amy was really naive, and she was like really submissive. He was abusive, misogynistic and homophobic, and I don't know what else. He was really horrible, and she was like hoping that they would get together. Like, it is understandable because she was pregnant, but she was just really naive. And there was like another potential love interest, and he was okay, but we didn't really get to know him. Then there was this really creepy French guy, and there was like a side story about him. It was really creepy. So yeah, I really didn't like the characters, okay? And characters are really important for me. So obviously this was heavily focused on Paris. So I'm not that crazy about Paris. So I think this book can be really enjoyed more by people who will read anything about Paris, like who are happy just because it's about Paris or it's set in Paris. And this wasn't enough for me. Plus I didn't like the characters, so. But it was fun and quick, and writing wasn't bad, so I ended up giving it 3 stars. And the last book I want to talk about in this video is The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy by Douglas Adams, and this is a read. I read it a long time ago and I didn't remember much about it, and it's a humorous sci-fi series with lots of satire and nonsense. Yeah, so we have our main character, Arthur, who is human living on Earth, and one day he finds out that the Earth is going to be demolished in like 5 minutes, and one of his friends is not human after all, or like not from Earth at least, and yeah, he ends up in space with him and other creatures or people, and yeah, they are just traveling through space and having adventures. I don't read that much sci-fi, and when I read sci-fi I prefer it to be more on the scientific part. Like, I really enjoyed The Martian, that was amazing. So this is more on the nonsensical part, which, yeah, I may have a lower threshold for that. But I think my main problem is with the characters, because as I have said in this video, I really enjoy like when we really get to know characters and when the story is character oriented. And I feel that in this book the characters are more like caricatures. I feel that they are one-dimensional so far, so we'll see how this will continue in the next volumes. But yeah, I gave it 4 stars because I think I enjoyed it more than when I read it in high school. So yeah, that is all for this video. Definitely tell me in the comments if you have read any of these books or if they sound interesting to you.